everybody. Buenas tardes. How are we doing? Good? Good. Gracias. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's beautiful Saturday, early fall. I see some leaves falling, like, no, too early. I have one more summer. But September is a really nice month for many reasons that are not related all to pumpkin, but related to change the way that I'm to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, now more than ever. And now more than ever in our Winthrop community. Just for reference, since 2018 to 2013, the population of Hispanic, the Hispanic population in Winthrop grew 11%. We are the second most growing population town in Massachusetts in the Hispanic. So now, the Hispanic community in Winthrop represents around 20% of house owners, business owners, professionals that contribute to the community, that pay taxes, that are honor and respect parts of society. And we're here to get to meet just only a little example of some of them, get to know them better, and really say thank you. We appreciate you for choosing Winthrop as a place to live, as a place to run your business, in many cases also having family here, and make it a place that you call home. So the idea of today is just very simple: get to know them, have a conversation, what it means to be an Hispanic person in the community of Winthrop, what it means, what your experience has been, and you have anything to share. So I'm going to start introducing our speakers, or our panelists here today. We have I'm going to start that way. So David Castro, owner of Mexican to Casa, it's a fantastic place, gracias. Edison Castaño, Director of Sales in my general healthcare plan. Yeah, correct. Judy, hola Judy. You're a psychotherapist and researcher in Boston Children's Hospital in Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Thank you for your help. Julian Mejia, owner of San Belinos, one of the best pizza, most growing place to go. The day place to go in San Carlos right now in Winthrop. And David Franco, a local clinician and counselor. So that said, we're just gonna introduce themselves really simple. Let's talk about careers and choices. Tell about a little bit where are you originally coming from, if you're coming from originally somewhere else, and what led you to leave where you are right now, like to have a restaurant. How do you end up doing what you do in a very simple way? That's okay. Julian, you want to start? Excuse me.
Hi everyone. So my name is David. So I'm originally from Mexico, and I moved from Mexico to New Jersey in 2008 when I was 16. So then I moved to Boston in 2015. I arrived in Chelsea. I'm a barber too, and so I was working in a barber shop in Chelsea. So then we had an opportunity to, so one of my friends and I, so we had an opportunity to take our own barber shop on Bennington Street, right? So then when we first moved to East Boston, so that's where we started meeting a lot of people from Winthrop and also from the neighborhood of East Boston, right? So in 2020, during the pandemic, so I had to sell my barbershop in East Boston. But one lucky day, I came to Winthrop to do my direct deposit of my deposit to pay my rent. So, and I was walking around. I took a decision to walk around the center, right? So then I look at an empty spot right in the center, on Hackman Road. So I looked through the window and it was empty. So I called the number, and they didn't answer my call. So it's normal, right? So then, like 8:30 in the night, I was visiting a friend, and I was speaking with him about to sell the barbershop in East Boston, right? And so he told me like, don't worry, it's it's like one more step to go, right? And so then I got a call right there, and they called me back, and they told me, they said, when you want to come and see the place? And I said, tomorrow, right away. So when so that day, they told me like, oh, this spot is, I think it used to be a real estate office right on Center, and they told me like, you can take the place, but you have to do all the job. I said, don't worry, I just want to have a new barbershop, right? So we did the deal, and so we started working in Winthrop. So then so that was 2023. Then my wife, and she always had a dream to open her own restaurant. She and her family. So we were looking for places. We started looking during it was like February, I think, of 2023. So we started looking for different locations and stuff. So then so we had a close deal in Sagos. But so the realtor agent, he called me. He said, yeah, the landlord said they approve you, and he wants to, well, you can come to sign the lease. So we scheduled an appointment for Thursday, but we didn't schedule the time. We just said Thursday. So 2 days later, he never answered me. Yeah, that means 2 days earlier. So he didn't answer me. So Jessie's from the nail spa next to our restaurant. Her brother used to rent the spot where Mexican Tu Casa restaurant is now. So they used to have like storage there, right, for all of his equipment and stuff. So like after a week, I think when we didn't sign the lease from Sagos, Son, that's his name. So he called me. He said, David, do you know someone who wants to take the empty spot? I'm gonna leave. He said, and maybe someone of your friends, right? So I told to my wife, what about Winthrop, right? So, and it was very, it worked for us because it was only around the corner, in the same building, same owner, you know? So then, so I brought my wife, we took a walk, and she said, yeah, I like the spot. So she loved it, right? So then we started. So we started like doing the process, all the, you know, it was an empty spot, so we had to convert into a kitchen. We had to build everything. It took a little while, but finally we could do it. So it was like it was fun for us to build our own kitchen, and it was also fun to see, you know, to see her dream coming true. So, and that's the most satisfaction that we feel right now, especially because we started meeting a lot of people in Winthrop, and I met my clients in the barbershop, and I invited them. I told them like, when I open, you have to try our food. So, and other good thing, so we were talking to our cousin who is the chef in the restaurant. So he used to live in Jersey, and so when we've opened the restaurant, he moved like 3 days before. So then we started, you know, cleaning, doing everything inside, preparing everything for the soft opening, and yeah, that quick. We did that one because we just wanted to open, you know, like because we took a little while to do construction and stuff, and yeah, so now Mexico and Tu Casa is open for everybody in Winthrop, and also our plan is, you know, like showing to other communities that Winthrop has good options, you know, like good food, good ice cream, now good bakery in the center, you know. So and for me, it's a pleasure to show that to the people that Winthrop has a lot of good options, so they can come here and spare their own time with the families, especially during the summer because the center is all with chairs and stuff, so they can sit there, and I can see that with my clients when they come. For the kids, they come to get a haircut, so they go right next to my neighbor at the ice cream place, and some of them take a walk to the restaurant too. So I mean, it's good, and yeah, that was it, and that was one of our, you know, like our plans to keep people coming into Winthrop, and for example, Winthrop has like a nice and beautiful views like Deer Island. So, and a lot of people who I know, when they come to the restaurant or barbershop, they ask me like, "Oh, how far you moved?" And I said, I'm in 10 minutes from East Boston, right? It's nothing. And we let them know, like, oh, you should go to the island and take a walk. So and they just first met the island, so they like it, and now they keep coming here. So yeah, so that's it.
I should make myself clear. I don't live here.
Okay.
But I have had the pleasure and honor of working here for the past, since September, first through Community Action for Safe Alternatives, or CASA, upstairs, as a social work intern. I just finished my social work degree and got my license this summer. But where it started is I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. It's an island in the Caribbean. I came when I was 6. I've been here the majority of my life. I just turned 35, so literally the majority of my life. But as an immigrant, I could only be a doctor, a lawyer, or a business person. Those are my only options that my family really gave me as an approved, right? I wanted to be a chef. That was not, my dad was like, you can cook for free at home. Why? How can you make money, right? So I pursued medical school for a long time. I majored in neuroscience and behavior. I did Parkinson's research at Brigham's for 10 years, and then the pandemic hit. Like, that's like the new thing, right? And I really thought about the different ways. I was living at home, cramped up with my mom and my other siblings, and I just saw that all of us were having different responses to a really traumatic experience, right? The air was lava, like it was hot, right? So it dawned on me, I was like, maybe I'm meant to be a different type of healing, to support other people in other different types of healing, especially in the Latino community where mental health still is very stigmatized. So, and as someone who has received mental health services, the first one in my family, I had to walk my mom through that destigmatization, right? That I'm still valuable, I'm still intelligent. My brain just needs more support, and sometimes that's medication, sometimes that's talking to someone, that's sometimes going to a group, right? And so I realized, okay, unfortunately, a lot of people in our community are still living under that, stigma and hardship, especially the young people. So I decided to go back to school at the age of 30 and get my social work degree. And I love working with youth, specifically Black and brown youth, because mental health is still very highly stigmatized, and I don't care what you think. I think everyone benefits from talking to someone, whether it's a friend, someone that your insurance pays, like your cat, your dog, right? Just letting it out and processing. And I think representation is something that is very important, especially in Winthrop, because the population has increased. So when I had the opportunity to be placed upstairs at Community Action for Safe Alternatives, I said yes. I know what it's like to be a Latina person in a predominantly white middle school, and that was a culture shock, because I, to this day, still live between two worlds. The world at home and the world of America, right, United States. So I felt, why not make this my career? And so I said goodbye to the 6-figure salary of a neurosurgeon and pursued this work that really fills me with passion. And so right now I'm working at the middle school, subbing for one of the adjustment counselors, and I've seen a huge need for Spanish-speaking admin teachers. My understanding is that I'm the only Spanish-speaking school counselor in the town of Winthrop. And we have a lot of new, for example, 6th graders that have come from East Boston and Revere. And it's hard. You might still be learning the language. You might still be supporting your parents in navigating this new culture. So they need to talk, they need to vent, they need to feel seen and heard. And I'm grateful for Winthrop for being able to offer me the opportunity. So that's how I ended up here. I live in Malden, but I absolutely love it. If someone wants to give me a discount on a rent, I would love to. I love the beach, so this place feels already like home, and so I am already here 5 days out of the 7. So I might as well move one
We
day.
can give you incentive with David having to live out your dream and being a chef for the day.
But I'm looking for discount too. I'm still living in East Boston. I mean, 7 minutes away.
What a
It's
lot.
basically Winthrop.
I'm a realtor, really have to try to help you. Right? I know some people. Alright,
Okay, my name is Julian. I'm from Colombia. I've been in the United States for 23 years. A year and a half in Winthrop. Nice Winthrop. I've been in the kitchen for 22 years. Most of my life. Me and my friend always had a dream to have a restaurant. We start saving money, $250 a week. And that's how we come, we start looking, saving and saving. And we find a place in Wakefield called Belino's Trattoria too. And we thought that wasn't enough for us. It was good, but we wanted to grow. And we were talking, can we get another one? You can handle one and I can handle the other one. And then we started looking around and we found this place in Winthrop. It's gonna be 2 years now. And I think we're doing the right things. It's very hard to make everyone happy, but we do 100% to get it done. And this is a nice town. I love this town. I've been here in Winthrop for 15 months. It's a good town, quiet, and
Safe.
it's safe.
Safe.
Yeah. Even my daughter walks to the store without, she just walks there. And this is it. I don't talk a lot. This is all I have to say.
I talk a lot. I'm a storyteller, so please keep track of my time and I'll try to be concise. So my name is Judy Castano. I was born in Colombia. I moved here when I was a teenager. I'm from a very small town, very similar to Winthrop, about 20,000 people. So understand this small town, and probably that's why I'm here, because I just love it. It's in me. It's kind of, it's my heritage. So who am I? I think I have multiple titles. I'm a clinician, I'm a social worker, I do research, I'm a breast cancer survivor, but what I will say is that the most important title is being a mom of two amazing kids, Hannah and Hans, who had completely changed my life, and I think I see things very differently now from that perspective. When I moved here, so I went through high school, I went to East Boston High School where I met my husband. You will hear more about it later. So we met in high school, we didn't talk throughout college, became together again during college, went to UMass Boston, and at that time, it was challenging. I mean, we're talking about 20, 25 years ago. So I'm kind of like used to being the Latina, the feisty Latina, who always has something to say, who doesn't stay quiet. And as I grow older, I feel like I'm not getting tired about that title, but being more wiser in terms of how I frame kind of my, I'll call it advocacy. This just not use other titles because I have so many, so I don't want to use them. Then I always wanted to be in the mental health field. And that comes from many reasons. One, my community. Two, just kind of growing up and really being more introspective about the why of things, like why do we act the way we do, and also the stigma, especially with Latinos. We're not locals. Well, in a way, everybody thinks differently, and everybody is. So why can't we just not talk about the things and just put it out there and we'll figure it out? So that was kind of the mental health driving me. Then there was another one, which was policy in public health, and in that way it was more about like how can we do research, and through research how can we take these into the community and just be more, how can we collaborate? So that's what brought my work at Dana-Farber. What I discovered a different world in which, again, I was not included because I was doing research, but people that I represented was not being part of these medical trials and things that I was taking care of. And then all that passion, it's not called anger, let's call it passion, brought me to wanting to get a PhD. And it was more of kind of that desire for more, kind of that curiosity. And at that time, I think I kind of was 3. And the only program that I could do was a program at Smith College in Northampton. And that was because that was the only program that I could go to school and come back to do my work at Boston Children's Hospital. And it really accommodated in a way, just looking for opportunities. And one thing that I can talk about is stories, opportunities, hard work, and resiliency. Because driving for 5 years, going back and forth during the summers when I was raising children, it was challenging. Not only that, I do remember when I was doing my practicum and I was teaching there, these kind of petite Latina with an accent got questioned a lot from students. From, are you really the professor? Are those really your syllabus? You kind of have an accent. Are you sure you're gonna be here? And during the break, I would call students to come back and would not come back. And I remember that I taught 2 classes during the summer and not more because I didn't feel included. And part of it is even telling the administration, this is what's happening. It's me, like they're not even giving me a chance. And I think I know what I'm doing. So decided that probably that was not the right place to teach. And not, it was a lot of, I think it bursted my bubble in which I thought, you know, I'm getting my education. I think I'm very comfortable and competent in terms of what I do, but there is something here that I don't know how to explain it, or there is more. And that's what I felt too. That's when I started to feel different, or kind of be more reserved and cautious about what do I say. Am I in a safe place? Is it okay for me to say it? And feeling just kind of, I don't belong. This cultural thing of where do I belong and where am I safe and what does it mean to be safe in those places? So came back to Boston and found a different place to teach. That's at William James College. It's in Newton. It's a small school, but they're very inclusive in terms of many things that we see with students. I'm also a clinician at Boston Children's Hospital with a different population. I work with kids with severe, complex medical needs. The majority of them have trachs, ventilators. They just need some kind of equipment to survive. And that's a very difficult job because that's when you really think of, from a human perspective, what really matters in terms of what's important, which is family, community, the hard work that you do, the resilient that you are, the kind of collaboration. And I think my roots, which is Latinos, we kind of, when you come to my house, everybody eats. My dad brings food, and if you don't eat, he will serve it, and or he will put literally give it in a spoon. So just that's kind of what we bring to our community, just who we are, the realness of what we have to share, and that we're here. And the only thing that I want to talk about is my experience as a cancer survivor. By the way, I belong to the Survivors by the Sea. It's a nonprofit, which does amazing work here with Tears Come, because they were here for me throughout this whole process. Because it's been 3 years since my diagnosis, but that's also kind of when you think about what it's important in life, which is who's around you, your family or your friends. We don't have much family. Both of my husband and I are only children, so we have made Winthrop, or people in Winthrop, our family. It's our community, and they have stepped up to the plate. And I truly, truly appreciate that. So I carry multiple titles. Again, as a summarizing, because I'll keep continuing. Like I said, I talk a lot, but I do appreciate you being here. Yeah, you don't want to talk.
It's kind of hard to go.
I appreciate you for being here, for wanting to know more about our community, for just reiterate that we like to work in community. We are hard workers. We're very resilient, and if you get to know us, you're going to love it, and sometimes you're gonna have too much, but just kind of welcome us into your community. Thank you.
Yes, we came as a package deal back in, BOGOs, buy one get one, so that's how you get the BOGOs. My name's Edison. It's actually Castaño. As growing up, I always had to fight to add the squiggly over the end, and my daughter fights for it at school now. She's so proud of it. So it's a great thing. But Castaño Muyeton, but it's an amazing thing. But my parents came to the U.S. in the late 70s. They arrived at Dorchester. That's where I was born. I was born in Dorchester. People ask me, where are you from? And I like to joke around. I actually do like to joke around a lot. You can ask me. And I usually say, it's like, well, I was assembled in the U.S. My parts are 100% Colombian. Look at me. So they finally click. So like, oh, okay, I get it. I say that joke because growing up it was a little tough because my parents, they were undocumented until finally about '86 when Reagan gave the amnesty. But I used to go back and forth between Colombia by myself or like with flight attendants and whoever can take me every summer, because it was easier for them. It was less expensive for daycares and programs, so I would be shipped off. And growing up, when I would go to Colombia, they're like, "Oh, you're a gringo, you're American." But when I was here, they were like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I was born here." It's like, "No, we're from like you're Colombian." So I got confused for a while because where I was born, they're like, "You're Colombian." When I go visit my family, they're like, "No, you're a gringo." So I'm like, "Where am I from? Here or there?" So I managed to adapt and bring it together, and I'm like, I'm from both places. I'm a little bit from everything, so it adds to who I am. Actually, my parents, when we lived in Dorchester, there was about 7 or 8 of us in the apartment. Since I was the first kid born that picked up both languages, I became the translator for everybody. And I would go to the hospital with my parents. I would call National Grid, Boston Edison at the time. And my aunt would take me to the hospital. It was like what my son's age, about 7 or even 6. And the doctor would come in. He's like, "Who's your translator?" "Here I am." A little kid in a pink chair. He's like, "I am." He's like, "Are you sure you can talk?" He's like, "It's gonna take a while." I'll be like, "But we'll get there." So eventually, I appreciate that because I was able to learn how to think in both languages, because it's tough when you learn 2 languages. Sometimes people, if you're bilingual, they'll talk to you, then you have to translate it to Spanish in your head, think of what you're going to say, translate it to English and explain. But I was able, because of that, I guess I acquired the experience to think fast on my feet and not be just speaking both languages quickly. And but then we finally moved to my parents. There was a fire in Chelsea where we used to live on Broadway Street, and we moved quickly to Chelsea, and then they helped him find the house through because he works for the hotels, Union 26, and they helped him find the house, and we wound up in East Boston in '90. When we first moved in, it was still very American, not a lot of Latinos. And eventually, a few months later, they would start to come to us and be like, "Oh, we thought you were going to be loud Latinos." I was like, "What does that mean? There's loud. Everybody can be loud. There's a lot of people in the community already." And but I would still see I saw the differences, because that's when in East Boston in the '90s, early '90s or mid, population started to change. Started to get more Hispanics coming into the community from Central America, South America. So it started to get really diverse, and it was very influentially populated by Italians and some Irish. And we would play in this church parking lot, and it was hard for us because when the Latino kids would be playing in there, the priest would come on, he's like, "You gotta leave." But then all the kids who were American, he would let them play. Our ball would go over to the fence of this gentleman. So we would learn as Latinos, we would tell the American kids, like, "You go and get the ball." Sometimes they send me, he's like, "No, you look like you're from here." He'll give you the ball. And he normally caught the ball. So it was seeing the change now where we are today from the 80s and 90s, how we become kind of like a melting pot, a blender. We're mixing in culture, and fighting for those things, so our kids wouldn't have to go through that, see the inequality, the differences. It means a lot. Working to get there. My parents, I put, like you said, they didn't tell me I had to be a doctor or anything. But growing up, we liked sports. I like sports, but they were like, "No, don't play sports because that doesn't make money. You gotta go get a job." So as soon as I was able to turn 14, 15, it's like, "You can work, go to work. Just go to school and go to work and then pay a bill." And then for us to learn some of the balances, to be different, to raise our kids differently, to give them some of the things that, because back in those days, it was, you need another person to help and contribute in the house. And so that's why I did become the translator. I helped my parents with their citizenship tests and studied as a little kid. Believe it or not, I told my wife the other day, she didn't believe me. They were going to English classes, but they would bring me so I could be the translator in the English class. I'm like, I was like, "You're learning." It's like, and all my friends are like, "Where are you going?" It's like, "Oh, I gotta go translate for English class." They're like, "It's a class." I was like, "Yeah, that's all right." And as I grew up, I told them, I'm like, eventually I'm gonna leave. I know I'm an only child. You're gonna have to fend for yourself. And I told my mom and my dad, like, keep your head up high. You can understand some of it. I don't care if it takes you an hour, 2 hours to say what's on your mind. That person has to learn how to be patient with you and just bear with you until you give them what you do. Because I'm gonna, it's on them to adapt and learn. You're making an effort and you're showing. So now my mom can't stay quiet. She likes to talk a lot. You can see that. But, and then so in high school I did meet Judy. We didn't date in high school. She didn't like me. She didn't like me at all. We did date in college eventually. She because there was a big there was a cluster population that came from kids that came from Colombia in the mid '90s, and she was part of that group. Since I was already here, I had different friends, and the only reason I met them is because my cousin, who was born here and left and came back, was her friend, and then they didn't like me because they would say, "Oh, you come to the hangout with us." Like, no, I can't unless my cousin goes. It's like, why are you always bringing him? But eventually, that's how we met. We did get married. We our realtor at the person who helped us get our first apartment that we rented when we got married was from Winthrop. Is from Winthrop, young, and I think he liked us because he said that we always brought business, and he would always take us and be like, I have this apartment. It's a diamond in the rough. Please don't get scared. And when we went to go look at it, it was bare bones. The walls were like stringed. You could see through the floor of the bathroom downstairs. Like, we love it. We want it. He's like, huh? So that's our first apartment. And then after we were there a few years later, he's like, we started to look for a house, and we walked in Winthrop, and we used to like Winthrop, and because she's like, it's a town, and it's the closest thing you can feel like it's a small town far away, but you're right next to the city. It's like a little, it's a nice little place, and he started showing us places, and he's like, I have another diamond in the rough for you. And we went to the house, and it did need a lot of tender loving care. We're like, we love it, we'll take it. He's like, you guys are, and we've been there now. It's gonna be 14 years next year. It was 13 years this August, 14 next year, and we made our little home. And like she said, we were quiet. We didn't know much about the community here until our daughter started playing sports and soccer, and they actually reached out to her to coach, and she's like, I don't know how to coach. Can you coach? So I started coaching her third grade soccer team, all girls, and I still am currently. Now they're in 7th grade. And then my son's asking if I can help coach him now. But through that's how we met the community, people in Winthrop. They became the village, and then Linda became part of our village when Judy got diagnosed with breast cancer. They were great. The program was great. They were there. Our community expanded. We went from being very quiet, not knowing much, to our community getting bigger, and we fell in love with it. They kind of embraced us. They opened up their arms and they're like, we're here for you. So Winthrop has given us a big hug, and we love it here.
Clara, can I say one more thing about this story?
Please.
It's a funny one because I remember when we looked at our apartment moving here, our realtor, he said, I love you guys, you can come and look at the apartment. But then our entire family showed up, like 15 people, and he said, I thought it was just for both of you. Like, why do people keep coming? I'm like, well, because it's our culture. Like, we need to tell everybody, like, where we're going to live. Like, are you sure? Are you going to start dividing rooms and all? Like, no, it's for both of us, but everyone needs to come and see. So I think he will tell you, this is the people that come look for apartments, and everybody comes just to see how it looks like.
We told the owner it was only 2, and then it was like 10 of us that showed up. He was like, I thought it was just 2. He's like, yes, I swear it's just 2.
If anything you have listened here is all the similarities in everybody's journey, in how we enter our lives, or as an immigrant, as of the obstacles that we have in our career, in our different paths, how our families, our value, and our tradition shape the space that we're in, right? And what is our definition of home? Because sometimes when we travel, is home the United States, is home our country, and we become We become a mix that is unlike any other. But we love that mix because that will make us who we are. But we still honor our Latino values or Hispanic values or Hispanic traditions. In my case, I love all the Hispanic cookies and food, like natilla, buñuelos, you name it. So let's talk about values and traditions in our individual cultures and how those values and traditions are still kept at home. How do you preserve the root core of who you are, where you're coming from, and try to preserve it at your house? How do you celebrate your Hispanic heritage at home?
That's a good question.
You want to start?
I can go for it.
Yeah.
So, food is a big part of our tradition and values at our homes. You know, what we eat, how we talk to people, and going back when I used to go visit Colombia, there's this thing that we may call sancocho. It's like a stew, and sometimes we make it a party, and it's a giant pot, and everybody's putting like all kinds of meat, chicken, meatballs, and but one thing that we kept in terms of our tradition, the way it was done, is that we make it in leña with firewood, and we've cooked it in our backyard. And as part of our neighbors, they would come like, "Hey, what are you cooking?" And we taught our kids like, "This is how we do it. It's a giant pot. We cook it, and then we sit together, we enjoy it, and everybody will ask us like, "Oh, when you making your sancocho again in the backyard?" And we'll see when we'll make it because it takes work, but
I think it comes more from everybody, it's more about the community, and what goes around the cooking is that you have people talking and that you have people gathering together. Like, where is the first place that you go? At least in my grandparents' house, you go to the kitchen. Like, that's where you sit, that's where things happen. And so that's what we try to tell. Or even when we go to events, we just bring our part of who we are, either buñuelos or something that represent our culture. But for some reason, it's through food, through gathering, through music. Like, not loud, but we like to just dance, and it's a way of expressing our feelings as well, and so I think that's how we do it.
conversation in our house or wherever we live. Everybody always wound up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that's where we would gather and have conversation. He's like, "Oh, why don't we go to the living room?" He's like, "Oh, why don't you try this food? Try this." And so we just stay in the kitchen, and that's why I guess that's where we, as a family, find out how's your day going, how's things going. Talk to me. And I think something about food, it kind of opens you up and makes you feel homely to embrace and open up to people.
So that's in that side about talking about food, right? So that's one special thing that I want to mention. It's about the name of a restaurant. So when we were talking, I'm original from Puebla, Mexico. That is right next to Mexico City. So when we were talking about the name of the restaurant, right? So I know, like I told you, everybody, like my wife's dream was to open her own kitchen, but so it came. So that dream started before pandemic, right? So like I told you, I used to have a barbershop in East Boston, and I used to live in the second floor of the barbershop. And so one day my wife told me like, what about if we sell food to your clients? So I said, okay, let me just talk to them. Just give me 1 week. So I invited her all, right? And she prepared tacos that day. And she and her friend, they cook at home. So in the first day, they cooked almost 250 tacos. So and so in that day, so my clients were very happy. They love it, and all of them told me like, why you don't open a restaurant? But like my friend says, it's expensive. So we didn't have enough money. So we started saving, working together, and it was a long process too. And so I went way back, too long. So like, so when we were discussing about the name, right? So, and when we had a place like Winthrop was, so we said something. What about it? I think she picked the name. She said like, yeah, Mexico en tu casa, and for me that means like we bring your son up Mexico to Winthrop, so to your house, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we, I can say that we bring a little bit taste of Mexico to Winthrop, and that's what we all want to share to our community, right? And yeah, like so this year was our first event, like so you know, like Mexican Independence Day is during this month, so it's our first time that we participate in the event in East Boston. So that is the Mexican Fest, and I don't know if some of you guys went there, but as you can see that Mexico celebrates with a lot of party, a lot of food, and a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think so we cannot do that, especially in the neighborhood, because we're gonna be very loud. we hear a lot of loud music. Yeah, but it's good to see, like you know, Boston and also Winthrop organizing these events to our community, because I never thought that Boston has a lot of Mexicans. So and then when I went to the event, we saw a lot of people, and it was fun for us to see, you know, be involved in our first event of Mexican parties, and I can say all Latinos. So all Latinos are like that. I mean, we all love music. We all love barbecues, and we all love to be with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, family. It's, I think, for our Latino community, it's like one of the most important things for us. Yeah, yeah. So that's it.
It's interesting. That's an interesting question, values, because it's hard as you know, I would like to call it cultural broker of the family, to hold on to the value of collectivism, right, family, and then also hold, on the other hand, the value of individualism, which is in our country, right? So to this day, like, I would still be living with my mom if she wouldn't drive me crazy, but right, but like the need to be near family, like I don't see myself moving without her near me, right? But that's still like something I struggle, because if I don't call her after a day, she's like, oh, pero mija, te perdiste, oh, you got lost, right? So it's like small little things of just calling home. And it's not because I'm dependent on her, it's just I want to check up on how her day is and hear about her long list of groceries and all this stuff that she's finding from the TikTok. And so as someone that's like, out of all my siblings, I am the one that was born there. Having to sort of teach them that has been a challenge of like, mom is calling you every day because that's part of our culture. Oh, but I was born here, but it's still part of your bloodline, like part of your culture, right? But for me personally, I think the thing I hold dear is hospitality. I have a small apartment, so I don't invite people over often because it's literally really small, and my cat does not like other people. But it's something about like when there's an event or a school event or a party, like making sure that people's plates are full, even if they're not hungry, they're just saying that, right? Or making sure that you're cleaning while people are cooking, like, and at the end, that's when you sit down and you have a plate when everyone else has a plate. So I think it's the value of thinking of others before your own that makes our families really tight, and that we're willing to sacrifice our hunger. No matter how hungry I am, I'm going to make sure that my mom has a plate, right? Because it's like she's my elder. I need to make sure that she's good. When I was little, I used to really do not like that, especially when it's like, oh, you have to serve your father. I'm like, I'm a woman, you know. But then I saw the like how it's a form of respect. So I think one day when I'm blessed with a house, eventually, I'm looking forward to just having like people over and constantly having food. And even if people are like, oh, I want to go watch a movie, I buy all the different types of popcorn just in case they have options. You know, it's like we do things successively, but it's out of love.
Well, yeah, and talking about food and continue the food and tradition. Do you keep any Colombian tradition in your family with food, like Christmas food, natilla buñuelos, empanadas, things like that?
pretty much what we do. I'm not a talker, like I said. Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. I'm always at work, special occasions. I'm always working, I'm always, I'm not that type of, like what they're saying. They do many things that I don't do. I'm just focused on my things. And if someone comes home, I do my best to keep them happy. I give them anything he wants. And that's pretty much it. I don't talk a lot, to be honest. Sorry.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I just say something?
Please,
In terms
please.
of tradition and values, and Dolly said, the culture is like sharing with others, like making sure everybody else. The first time I think I met Linda, and we were making, when Judy was going through treatment, she told her mom and myself, she's like, I want frijoles con coles, which is like beans with collard greens and fried pork rinds and chicharrón. So Linda was there, and Judy's dad was there. We were making it. He's like, no, here you have to. She's like, no, we just came to say. I'm like, no, you have to try it. And Linda and Karen, they're like, fine, if you must, just a small plate, and there you go. Here's a big plate. And then they ate it. They're like, we love it. When are you gonna make more? It's kind of like, what else can you cook? Like, what else do you want? And it's kind of like opening your door. It's like, this is who we are. This is how you get to know us.
Can I add one thing about values? I think about my kids, and I think about this balance between, okay, we're Latinos, this is what we bring to the table. We also in a different culture, like how do we mix this whole thing? How do we become somewhat like the balance between here is what's okay in our house, but then here's also the pressure from the outside world. So Hannah, she loves salmon, which I cannot pronounce, so I say salmon. And so now she's correcting me. That's part of our kind of values. We correct each other. So she brings us to school, and the comments she gets at school, like, "What are you eating here? Like, what? That's so smelly." And she said, "Well, but I have to just be honor what I in that balance." And like, okay, how do I just kind of keep my values, what we are about, what we love to do, at the same time that we just kind of not being almost like kind of imposing or. So it's that balance of as you grow and you become talking about sitting here thinking about what does it really mean Latino heritage, because we don't celebrate that in our home countries. It's just here because it's always there. That's who we are, and it's this new thing of the values that we bring and how we should think about it, what that really means.
The passion, the drive, the feeling of community togetherness. Is like we're all one, and in terms of something very basic as even sport of soccer, and
Or baseball.
Or baseball. But yes, baseball. That's what I grew up playing was baseball. And when I would go to Columbia, it's like, no, we don't play that. If you want to play with us, you got to play soccer. I was like, fine. But we would go. You go here to Gillette Stadium. It's such a big stadium, and yes, it has a good size population in terms of people watching them. But you don't see like a passion. People like, yes, like I drive. You see European games, so like in Spain and England, they're packed. So we were in Colombia this summer. My wife had a presentation there. She put a conference there, and we were there. Luckily, I'm able to work remotely as well. We got to take him to see a game from where we're from, and it was packed. And she's like, "I want to go sit with the crazy people." It's like they're fun. And then she's like, "No, this is passion. This is this is coming together. This is cheering for something. This is what we learned, and even from Judy's dad, is like when you go in, you go all in or you don't do it at all. And it's like so when you meet someone, when you work, or you prepare yourself, or when you're going to go to school, make sure that you do it to 100 of your abilities. So that's part of our values is either go all in or you don't do it.
Yep.
It's like when you volunteer for something, you got to give it your all, regardless of whether you like it or not.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I myself make a really killer empanadas. Every party that I bring, empanadas, like something we always bring and share from our values and culture. So now let's shift our attention in Winthrop for a minute. This 20,000 people town that we choose to call home, right? So we've been here, X amount of time already. And let's talk about why do you like living here, working here, raising a family here, and what do you see that now and in the future Winthrop has to focus on to make it even better? In this case, the construction roads, for example, transportation, and what do you think that will make Winthrop even better? Not we'll love it, we call it home, what will make it better? How has you been your Winthrop experience so far?
I can start. I don't live here, but my Winthrop experience has been, I love it that it's a very small town community. People like even who lived in Boston, I tell them, oh, I working with them. They're like, where? And I'm like, exactly, right? I think that's what Winthrop wants it to be like, because then everyone would be coming here, and which would be good for business, but then all the population and noise pollution and all that stuff. But what I really love, particularly working in such a small town, is that there's not as many administrative red tape as in other towns, right? If you need to get your voice heard, I find it an easier pathway of getting your voice heard. Either the council or talking to the superintendent. I met her face to face. Yeah, I don't know fellow coworkers in Boston who have ever met face to face with the Boston superintendent of Boston Public Schools, right? So that you can really get face to face interactions with people in positions of power and that they're open. One of the ways I think the town can grow in is in diversifying language services, because we're increasing in population of English learners. I know, for example, in the schools, that is a little bit hard, right? I've had to step outside of my role as a counselor and be a translator. That's not my job, but I'm happy to do it, right? And although there's phones that, like in the hospital, that you can pick up, and it's different from face to face, because one of the values we have is personalismo. Like we want to be able to talk to someone face to face. So how do we increase, like even Albanian speaking, Portuguese speaking, like French speaking people in the library if you have a question, or in City Hall, or at Nix, for example. Like how do we get more people that speak other languages in these areas? So I think one of the ways that Winthrop is growing in is building the infrastructure to support the changing community.
Well, in terms of going based on our idea, in terms of yes, Winthrop is growing. We're getting diverse. Not just Latino, the other cultures that come in as well. Part of like Algerian, Albania, Middle Eastern. In terms of language, and it's hard when you say infrastructure and roads, because it's only one way in and one way out and back, so we really can't expand on those roads.
Yeah.
Put bridges, but one way that we could probably learn and grow as a community, something that's from back home. Most towns or even cities have this what's called Casa la Cultura, the House of Culture, and they do events. They do. This week we're gonna learn how to dance our traditional folklore dance. We're gonna have art class from this area. We're gonna do cooking, and they get together throughout the week. They have other events, so sometimes once a month they're like, we have a party and we're gonna celebrate this event. So seeing that maybe Winthrop is expanding and growing and opening its doors to outside, maybe we could find a space where once a month we have like a house of culture, where this is the culture we're going to explore it, and have kids get involved, and I think it'll be a great opportunity for Winthrop to expand that way and be different as a community.
We're talking about all cultures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even from Europe, because there's rich culture there, the traditional foods, traditional
River
dance,
dancing, learn.
river dancing. Because
Oh, yeah.
people, I'm not speaking for Latinas, but I want to learn more
Yes.
about
No, me too.
Albanian culture, right?
I will say that a community, I don't know, I think you can measure society by two things: the way you treat your children and the way you treat your elderly. And so I think when I think about youth, if we can do more in sports, like there is, as a family, we found ourselves going out of town for other activities that are not here. We don't have a pool. I know, I think big, it's too much money, but even a place that everyone will benefit, not just the children, but everybody else, the elderly. My parents are getting older. I feel like a sandwich. Taking my kids to somewhere else and taking my parents somewhere else. Like how, and even for, what do I call it, like young adults, or myself, that part of like what millennium, I'm not there, but maybe. But that part of how can we think about ways in which our kids are doing more, they're more active, they're not kind of in the streets. Not that they are, but if there is a place that is kind of hold them and we can teach them, that's a value. And also for our elderly, like where can my dad learn chess so he doesn't have to go through dementia? He's not going through, but I'm thinking ahead of where, in terms of public health and preventing things, where is a place that everyone can benefit from? Not just us as Latinos, but when we think about our community, the whole town.
One of my jobs for a long time when I lived in East Boston, I did work at the East Boston Social Center, and I ran a team program with at-risk youth. But what I liked to do with them was because they came in after school and early in the day, the space was used by the senior community, and I would actually tell them, don't leave. So, you know, I had teens, you know, because they were Latino kids, stay in here, let's sit down, maybe play some board games, or, you know, maybe they can, because they went to school early, they have an education of life, see if they can maybe help you tutor in a math problem, and get them involved and have kids, young kids, talking with the older community, and they work together. So I was like, oh, this is their story. These are these kids. So they got to see that at-risk youth, because the elderly were like, they're not bad. They're good kids. And because what they see, if you don't know, is you only get to create an image, you know, create a stereotype. Oh, they're kids. They're loud. They're just gonna... No, but once they sat down with them and I had them work together, I was like, oh, they're awesome. They're amazing. And they would say hi outside in the streets, and it's a good opportunity if you have something like that.
Absolutely. I believe someone in the audience has some questions.
I
wow.
I just
Okay,
wanted
so
to
before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to say thank you to all of you for your time to share what's on your heart, what's in your mind, the story that at this time in point in years, in the moment that we live, is not the safe, perfect time that we would have hoped to be in 2025. But we are here showing support, showing respect, admiration, and gratitude for you to be part of this community. And now, so thank you for you, thank you for what you do, for bringing your food, your talent, your efforts to make Winthrop a better town. Thank you so much.